That is, Form 17C Part 1 would indicate the number of people who have polled, who have reached the booth for polling. And 17C Part 2 would indicate the number of votes that was counted. Now, this variation raises questions about the integrity of the whole process. How is this possible? Especially when EVMs are used, we expected that these discrepancies would probably lessen or would probably not be there at all compared to the manual process when we were doing. But when these discrepancies are as high as 784 out of 600 and 660, you see in a polling booth, the number of people who vote is probably 1,000. Now, if there is such a huge difference, then it raises alarms, and that is what we have done today. The discrepancy in the cases at single booth level, if it is aggregated for all the booths in a constituency, it could probably impact the result or influence the final result of the constituency. Why we couldn't do it? Because we don't have the data, and that is why we had asked the Election Commission, the returning officers. Most of the returning officers refer to the Chief Electoral Officer for clarification. We have indicated this to the Election Commission of India also today, requesting to give an instruction to share this data with the people, with our people who have applied certified copies of the same, because it's a serious issue. And under Rule 93.2, which is what we indicated today to the Election Commission as well, of the conduct of election rules, this data should be available, or these papers, 17C Part 1 and Part 2, should be available to anyone from the public on payment of a fee. And when our candidates have also applied, it is actually almost serious if it is not furnished to us. The second issue that we have mentioned in the petition today is relating to the number of people who have voted. You see, Odisha has seen simultaneous elections in 2004, 2009, 2014, 2019, and this year, 2024. We made an analysis of the difference in the votes polled as indicated by the Election Commission from time to time till the closure of the polls, and the number of votes that were finally counted. Earlier, during all these years, this difference used to be maximum of 2%, 0 to 2%. But what we see, this is the first time in the history of Odisha elections. First time in the history of Odisha elections, and perhaps also in the country, that the reported voting percentage at the close of poll on the polling day and the final voting percentage after the end of poll reported by the ECI after 2 days saw a difference ranging from 15% to 30% in 50 assembly constituencies out of 147. In 38 assembly constituencies, this variation was 15 to 20%. In 10 assembly constituencies, this variation was from 20 to 25%. And in two assembly segments, Kantamal and Keonjhar, the variation was the highest. In Kantamal, it was 28.69%. And in Keonjhar, it was 30.64%. This is compared to the 5 p.m. on the voting day figure that is reported by the Election Commission. But at 11:45, they also report another figure for the people who probably could have been standing in a queue. So we compared that figure, and that figure, even the difference in the earlier years was about 1%. In these two constituencies, we found this difference to be exceeding 10%. In balance 97 assembly constituencies, the difference ranges from 3% to 15%. So our question to the Election Commission, for which we requested them to clarify this to us, is that in Keonjhar AC, from where the present Chief Minister of Odisha, Sri Mohan Charan Majhi, was contesting, this difference was 30.64% between 5 p.m. and the counting day. Now, if you take 11:45 p.m. as the cutoff time to take care of the people who are probably standing in the queue to vote and figures getting reported later, still the difference was 10%. So this, we pleaded to the Election Commission that this requires serious analysis and inquiry as to how this much of discrepancy could arise, particularly when the modes of communication, whether electronic, WhatsApp or telephone, internet, services is actually increasing. The quality of communication is actually improving in the country and not deteriorating. So in the earlier elections, when this difference used to be in the region of 0 to 2%, how could it reach as high as 10%? In case of the constituency of Keonjhar, where the Honorable Present Chief Minister of Odisha, Mr. Mohan Charan Maji, Honorable Chief Minister of Odisha, has won. So these were the two issues, and then there was a third issue. The third issue was relating to the number of votes
आपण प्रेसमिट शुणुले विजु जनता दल दिल्ली निर्वाचन कमिशन को भेटा पर बीजेडी प्रतिनिधि दलर ये प्रेसमिट जे 2024 साधारण निर्वाचन में गणति एवं मतदान संख्या को लेकिन बड़ अभियोग जे तालमेल रहीनी वोटिंग परसेंटेज बा मतदान संख्या जहाँ रही गणति बेले अधिक रही दल पक्षर अभियोग कर अर्थात मतदान ठारू भोट गणति अधिक होता विजु जनता दल पक्षर अभियोग कर दिल्ली आपण विजु जनता दल प्रेसमिट शुणुले दलर वरिष्ठ नेता जो अभियोग आणुंट ये अभियोग को लेकिन निर्वाचन कमिशन को निकट में फेराद होती दल निर्वाचन को पाखापाखि 6 मास गला किंतु विजु जनता दल पक्षर ये बड़ अभियोग निर्वाचन स्वच्छता को लेकिन परिचालना को लेकिन कारण जो परसेंटेज रही मतदान संख्या रही भोट गणति बेले से संख्या यथेष्ट अधिक रही दल पक्षर अभियोग करनेक गुड़िए निर्वाचन क्षेत्र को लेकिन आसेम्बली कन्स्टिट्युएंसी को लेकिन ये अभियोग करुछि विजु जनता दल जे अनेक गुड़िए क्षेत्र में मतदान ठारू भोट गणति अधिक होइछि बोली दल अभियोग करिछि।